Left door is open. Left door is open.
Are you saying that?
No, it's the lady.
The lady?
There's a lady in here talking to me.
What lady?
It's a computer. It's like the speaking spell in LeBaron, except it's a nice woman.
Okay.
Welcome to Hoovie's Garage, the dumbest automotive channel in all of YouTube, and this is a 1985 Nissan 300ZX Turbo, and it is an example of my total lack of self-control. A few months ago, I flew to Houston and picked up a 1996 Ferrari 355, and this was sitting in his warehouse. It hadn't been registered since 1994 according to the tag, but it ran and drove for some reason, even though it hadn't been on the road for almost 30 years, and well, I had to buy it along with one other car, which you'll see sometime down the road. I'd gone down to buy one car and ended up buying three, but this one is pretty cool. $5,000 for an 85 300ZX Turbo with a stick. And this is when Japanese cars started dominating the sports car market. Of course, American and British sports cars, they were not very good during this time. And German sports cars, I mean, they were fine, but they were very expensive. So this was around $20,000. You got 225 horsepower, manual transmission, loads of technology, which we'll see in a little bit. Whereas the 944 Turbo had 100 less horsepower and was almost twice the money. Of course, American cars weren't having near the horsepower this thing had with the V6 and the turbo, but also all of the cool things. If you just look at this, it looks so dang cool, and it's kind of sad because modern Japanese sports cars, well, the excitement's kind of gone. The cutting edge, the coolness, maybe it'll come back. The new Z looks pretty cool. But as far as huge technological and design leaps, the 80s with these cars, it was just an unbelievable time, and this is a really cool example of it. And despite sitting for almost 30 years, like I said, it does run and drive. It doesn't run and drive very well, but the previous owners bought it out of a storage unit. They cleaned out the fuel tank, replaced the fuel pump, I think, and then it started, it ran, it drove under its own power. But I'm told the turbo is locked up, and I'm sure it has a host of other issues, but I can take it on the road right now, which is crazy to think, a car that hasn't moved in 28 years. But let's give you a tour of it first. But before we start the tour of this neglected ZX, I've transported myself back into my garage, and I'd like to thank Policy Genius for sponsoring today's video. I'm certainly ready for the new spring, and perhaps it's time for you to blossom out from your existing auto insurance, especially if you've had it for a while and those rates have been slowly going up. And Policy Genius is the perfect place to help you save money on your home and auto insurance, as it's America's leading online insurance marketplace. So far, Policy Genius has helped over 30 million people since 2014 and placed $120 billion in coverage and earned thousands of 5-star reviews across Trustpilot and Google. Policy Genius is your one-stop shop for all of your insurance needs, and getting started is easy. First, head to policygenius.com/hoovies and answer a few quick questions about yourself and your property. Then the Policy Genius team will show you price estimates for policies that will fit your needs and help you find the best option. Their team of experts will look for ways for you to save more, especially when you bundle your home and auto policies. The Policy Genius team works for you, not the insurance companies, so if they find a better rate than what you're paying now, they'll switch you over for free. Policy Genius has saved customers an average of $1,250 per year over what they were paying for home and auto insurance. So head to policygenius.com/hoovies to get your free home and auto insurance quotes and see how much you can save. That's policygenius.com/hoovies. So there's that iconic 80s wedge shape and a functional hood scoop with the turbos, and also two-tone paint, which is awesome. You have the gold pinstriping into the gold lower portion of the car, alloy wheels, a spoiler, T-tops. I mean, how cool is this thing? And they were actually pretty subtle with the turbo badge. In the 80s, turbo badges were everywhere on Chrysler LeBarons, on everything. It meant, well, status. This one, they were pretty subtle. I mean, there's the one on the back, and I don't believe there's anything on the side. So just one badge saying is a turbo. No turbo badges everywhere on this. But obviously, whatever sticker this was has faded over time. Probably looked like this pinstripe, so that needs to be fixed, but otherwise cosmetically in very, very nice condition. A lot of dust from sitting, but very, very nice. Inside you have a little bit of wear on the seats. This is leather seats. They're power operated. But then you see all the technology in here, including adjustable suspension, headlamp washers, dual power mirrors. This one doesn't have the digital gauges, which came with a G meter and a compass. It's the normal analog gauges, but they do look really cool. You see the stereo down here, antenna mast, really neat, and a period car phone. The seats are very nice and comfortable. It's showing 103,000 miles, but there is some cool tech, even though it doesn't have the digital gauges. Let's turn on the headlights here. Take the key out.
Lights are on.
There she is.
Lights are on.
So like my old Chrysler LeBaron, it has an electronic voice
Lights
alert
are on.
that will stop you from doing something stupid,
Lights are on.
like leaving your lights on,
Lights
which these are pop-up headlights. You saw they were recessed a little bit and slightly visible, but they pop all the way up to give you full illumination. So dang cool.
Lights are on.
She is really, really mad about the lights being on though.
Lights are on.
I got you, I got you.
Lights are on.
And you hear that? Yeah, there's the phone. But it starts, it runs, it drives. It doesn't really rev past 2,000 RPM though. But how incredible is that with just a fuel pump and cleaning out the tank that it actually idles really smoothly and quietly despite a very, very long slumber. And it does move, actually drives just fine too. Obviously I had it delivered to the Car Wizard's lair because I wasn't going to be driving it from my house or somewhere else up to the Wizard. But if I kept the RPMs really low, I could probably cruise at 40 just fine. Suspension feels all right. Brakes feel okay. This is just so impressive. But anytime you start to get into the power, unfortunately, that's when it cuts out, when you'd be feeling the turbo, which I'm told is locked up. I have no reason not to believe them. And there's probably some other issues because it should rev. I would think it could rev. Yeah, showing no boost at all. Stuck at 2,000 RPM, bucking like crazy. Since I had this thing delivered to the Car Wizard, obviously he knows about it. He's not too thrilled about a car that's been sitting forever kind of project thing, but hopefully, since it runs and idles so well, he won't be quite as mad. We'll see. Let's check on the Wizard here. Shift. Good clutch action too. Tell me something good.
Left door is open.
Yes, I'm holding it open, so you talk to me.
Left door is open. Left door is open.
I know, I'm doing it on purpose.
Left door is open. Left door is open.
Are you saying that?
No, it's the lady.
The lady?
There's a lady in here talking to me.
What lady?
It's a computer. It's like the speak and spell in LeBaron, except it's a nice woman.
Okay.
80s Japanese cars, they're just so cool, Wizard. The way they were playing with technology, it was all cutting edge. Power seats, adjustable suspension, the stereo's awesome, the car phone, the way they do the gauges. I mean, these are so neat.
It is a really cool car.
The quality on these was just off the charts too. Of course, nowadays, pretty much every manufacturer's caught up, but something special about a ZX Turbo. I've never had one before either, so of course I had to buy the worst example of one.
Of
but
course.
It runs. It's a stick.
It did drive in here.
It did drive in here, but no power. And it's been sitting for almost 30 years.
Oh my goodness.
You love this kind of stuff.
It sounds disastrous.
You love this kind of stuff.
No, I don't love it.
You love restorations.
No, only for you I will do this.
So anybody else that calls you and has the same thing, that
Out of luck. It's not
No.
happening.
okay, well, I don't think it's as bad as it should be, given that it runs and drives and idles so smoothly. So we'll see, huh?
Of course, the hood struts won't hold up.
No, but turbocharged.
What's all that? There's just wires cut. The hose just laying here.
What is that wire cut to?
I have no idea. I'm just looking at it now as you are.
Interesting. Okay.
But it all looks intact. Everything's there.
Yeah.
Of course, the compressor's locked up.
I think that's the least of my worries, probably. But you know, it actually goes down the road all right. Now, the previous owners, they just bought out of the storage unit. It started somehow. They cleaned out the fuel tank, which was good of them. And, well, here it is. I think they threw tires on it, too, just because they were from 1994. So we have tires done. Missing some things there for the
Yeah.
air filter.
Looks like they had something apart on it or who knows what.
So any ideas on why it won't rev other than the obvious?
Could be a bad mass airflow sensor, or it could be some of all these wires we're finding cut. And also, you said the turbo supposedly is seized up.
Yes.
That could have something to do with it.
So the previous owner told me. So this is not something where like we walk around a video in 10 minutes we find everything wrong. You're gonna have to dive in and really get into this, but at least we can see how it looks underneath.
Yeah.
And then I think I'll check in with you on a later date. But shall we go up?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's got a cool look too. Very 80s with the gold and black.
It's very cool.
You like it.
I kind of do. It's way better than some of the other stuff I see come in sometimes.
Well, I'm just realizing the plate is 1994, but the Texas inspection sticker on the front is 2001 or 2002? Either way, it's been sitting a long time. Well, Wizard, what were you doing between 1994 and 2001?
94 and 2001, I'd started high school, and somewhere in there I joined the military and finished the military and got out and was dating a stripper.
That sounds like a very interesting life.
Yeah, it was actually.
Wow. Well, anyway, I could ask you about that all day because I didn't remember the stripper story, but let's get into the car. 300Z, would you have driven one of these back in the day?
I would have, yeah.
Yeah, I think you said you had a Camaro, right?
I had a 79 Camaro.
Yeah, that was very cool, but
A little dent there, but
these were hot stuff.
the struts are blown out. A lot of things are going to be like that on this car. It's just so old.
I see. And those are adjustable.
Yep, there's our... So it only has one turbo, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
There's the turbo there. I don't know...
As far as reaching it.
I can almost get that pipe off of there.
Got it?
Yeah, I got the pipe out of the way. And I put my screwdriver in there. The impeller is completely seized up.
Okay.
So they were correct. That turbo is seized solid.
Yikes. Yeah, well, I knew that. I don't know how much a turbo is. Probably could have researched some things before I bought it, but that's why this is the dumbest auto channel in all of YouTube. Well, moving on. It's not really leaking, but once you start driving it, it's probably going to start leaking a lot more, huh?
Yeah, that's the thing about these old cars is what's not leaking now will be after about a month of driving. That looks fairly new replaced.
Slave cylinder?
Yeah, within the last couple years. There's some seepage there. Nothing serious. The motor mount looks collapsed. Actually, that's a let me see. Transmission mount looks collapsed here. It's almost touching.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, they didn't steal your cat yet.
No, that's good.
Drive shaft U-joints seem fine. There's little seepages and things everywhere, but that's to be expected with the age of the car.
Yeah.
It's really not that bad under here.
Oh, that's good.
I can see all of your shocks are showing this, so it's going to be all 4 shocks. Brakes are about half gone. Obviously, the tires are probably no good anymore. Or you said they put new ones?
Yeah.
There's new tires.
Mm-hmm.
It looks pretty cracked.
New used tires?
2010.
Okay. So new used tires.
New used tires.
Okay, so I still need tires.
Yep.
All right, well, I guess you can work on compiling a list and diving in electrical issues and then just hit me with it before I go too far. I may not want to do this, honestly. It was a really cool car that I just sort of impulsively was like, oh yeah, that's awesome, I'll take it. And then I didn't really think things through. So
Okay.
just let me know, all right?
Okay.
Well, I'm back up here not by choice. It's because the ML63 just failed catastrophically, which you saw in the previous video. But now while I'm here, the Wizard says he's done inspecting the 300ZX Turbo. You had Danielson go over it with a fine-tooth comb.
Yes, and it got a fine-tooth estimate as well.
Can't be that bad. It's Japanese.
It can be. Trust me, it can be.
Well, now he's working on the Ferrari, I see. Yeah, the steering boots have finally arrived. Very good.
Here's the old ones.
Oh. So not leaking, just bad boots.
Bad boots, that's right.
Then she can finally go home. But my appetite for big bills is not very strong right now because this was quite a hit. So
I know. It was quite a hit just to order the parts for it.
right. So Nissan, it's not Ferrari parts.
It's close.
Wizard?
Just checking out this picture here.
Marilyn Monroe. Andy Warhol.
Yes.
That's classy. There, $150,000. This is a Japanese car, Wizard.
It's going to definitely help as a down payment anyway.
No.
Yes.
Well, if you're considering and really enjoying a $150,000 Marilyn Monroe Warhol painting, it must be bad.
It actually is pretty bad.
Okay.
I'll go through all the parts that it's going to need and what it's going to cost. Are you ready? You got time?
Okay. Here we go. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
First, it needs all the belts, spark plugs, cap, rotor, wires, fuel filter, basically a tune-up. That's $500. All the fluids, brake fluid, oil change, coolant, power steering, transmission, $425. Rack and pinion is leaking. The power steering pump is leaking. There's fuel hoses leaking. $1,000.
There we go. Okay, so we're at $2,000 and climbing.
The airflow sensor is bad. Sway bar bushing, sway bar links, fuel door actuator, vacuum lines, wiring repair. There's lots of hacked wiring and vacuum lines on that thing. $800 there.
All right.
Turn the page.
Flipping over, I see.
Needs timing belt. Okay. It needs timing belt, the pulleys, tensioner, water pump, a turbo, which in itself is $2,000.
The turbo's $2,000?
If the labor to remove it, replace it, and the turbo by itself is $1,000, a rebuilt one. New tires, new shocks. There's a special electronic shocks on there. That's $1,100 for those.
So the special adjustables. Oh, okay. All right.
$5,000 for all of that.
Plus the other page, which had $3-ish grand on it.
There's your total.
$8,100.
$8,100.
No.
So yes, I will definitely have a nice chunk down on this.
No. I anticipated this.
What?
I know I normally never tell you no, but I kind of knew this was coming. I called up Kamal, who sold me the Ferrari and one other car and this car, and said, hey, you want this thing back? And he's like, sure, I'll take it right back. So,
well, how am I supposed to buy that now?
You're not. I'm not fixing it. Me and Japanese cars, we just haven't had a good relationship. There was the NSX like 4 or 5 years ago, and then the Lexus Land Cruiser, and that's really been it. So maybe there'll be some Japanese car that pops up that I actually want to do something like this to, but that's not the car.
So I guess I'll just have Danielson push it outside.
Push it outside. The lady's still talking inside though. The door's ajar, that kind of stuff. So somebody will want it for that, I imagine, but not me.
Well, that's just disappointing.
Thanks, but no thanks.
I'm sad to hear that.
So we're saving money today, for once, but still Hoovie's Garage merch, which is linked below. You can buy some $5 stickers. Here's a few that put them on their cars that are sharing it on Twitter at Hoovie's Garage. Thank you so much for that, and sorry, Wizard. Thank you so much for watching.